Hello, this is Business Spotlight with Mario Toneguzzi. Joining me today is Chris Bourassa, who is President and CEO of Alliston, based here in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today, Chris.
Thank you, Mario. Glad you could have me.
All right, super. So you're the new CEO and President of Alliston. Tell me a little bit about the company and what you guys do.
Alliston primarily is a home builder. So it is Alliston at Home, which is just one of our business lines. We also look at commercial, industrial. We have a number of multifamily projects as well, both for sale and for rent. So that's primarily what we do today.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the company's kind of vision and mission out there.
Well, I mean, as we started looking at who Alliston was going to be and how we would orient ourselves in the marketplace, the focus has really been on not so much home building per se, because a lot of homes are similar, but it's really about health and well-being. So building spaces, building projects, creating spaces where people will have their lives, will be healthy, be well, have memories. And that's really, we invert it. So quite often with builders and developers in general, they focus on the design first. We go straight to the end user. Who are the people we're building for? Who are we designing for? And then work backwards. What kind of life are they telling us they want to live? And as we roll it backwards, it then informs how our design should be completed.
Is that one of the key things for you as a company that differentiates you in the market? That, obviously there's tons of home builders out there.
Absolutely. We really want to focus on that end user. And each one has its own wants and needs. And you can't, we're production builders, so we can't customize each home to each person. However, there are some universal truths that people want in their lives, whether as it relates to health and well-being. So that's where our focus really is on making sure that people and their families have the space that they truly desire, that they can feel healthy in, that it is the right space for those memories long-term.
Okay. When you look at the current market in Calgary, I'm just curious of where Alliston is building right now in the city, what communities?
Sure. We're in Belvedere, out in the east side. We are at Corner Brook, which is in the northeast. We're at Wolf Willow, which is in the south. South Shores out in Chestermere, and Hudson West, which is near the Canada Olympic Park.
Oh, okay. Super then. Any thoughts of going beyond the city?
Absolutely. We also have a project right now that is in Kelowna, and it's a multifamily condo project of 66 units. We're about to launch that in late September, and we've been working on that for a while. That's been around for about a year. We were just out in Kelowna last week looking at a number of other projects. So really, it's just finding the right niche that suits our style of development.
Okay, super. And what about, the focus for the company is on the residential side of things. Have you looked at other asset classes in terms of real estate to get into in the future, maybe?
We have primarily the next step will be the build for rent. So on the multifamily side. So looking at projects that, maybe smaller in nature, maybe 40 to 60 units, maybe a little bigger, the missing middle, people that want a home, maybe because of interest rates can't afford that home, but clearly want the space that we can create for them, that they can spend a number of years in, even though it's not a for sale product, but a for rent.
How do you look at the Calgary market right now in terms of its health?
No place I'd rather be.
Why is
the
that?
reason why I say that? Well, the reason why I say that is, Canada and the US with inflation and, the economics of it is challenged and stressed. We're fortunate that we have a very, very strong oil and gas sector, a very strong tech sector. We've got a reasonable cost of living. We have so many benefits of living in the city and surrounding areas. those are the things that are going to attract workers to Calgary, which will help us in turn become stronger as an economy. And notwithstanding interest rates and other things that could impact the economics of North America, I think Calgary is going to weather it really, really well.
When I look at the Calgary market, one of the things that's huge, and I keep hearing from a lot of experts, is the affordability factor, right? When compared to Vancouver or Toronto, and I know that you came from Vancouver. We'll talk a bit later about that. But so whether it's home ownership or whether it's rental, Calgary sits right at the top for the major centers in the country when it comes to that, right?
It is. One of the big differences, though, is the entitlement process in Calgary is, I feel, more defined and more finite, whereas you go to some other cities where you don't know how long it's going to take to get your entitlements. You don't know what the DCCs or development cost charges are going to be. So all these things layer on additional costs that ultimately need to be passed on to the homeowner. And that's the difference, I think, where Calgary is going to start winning, is those costs that are attributed to the end user are substantially less than they would be in other centers.
So let me talk about yourself a little bit. Your background, Chris, could you fill us in on that?
Sure. Well, I started in the industry many years ago here in Calgary. Did an apprenticeship in carpentry, went to SAIT, started with a couple of smaller general contractors and development managers here in Calgary. And then in 1993, I joined Ledcor, a group of companies in the construction side. And I did a number of different roles with them, whether it be estimating, project management, business development, branch management as well. And towards the end of that 10 years, myself and some of the other people within the company, we started Ledcor Properties, which was essentially investment in some of the projects we were building. And from there, it evolved to our own equity, our own projects, our own developments, which took me to Orlando, to Austin, to Southern California, Hawaii, and ultimately to relocate to Vancouver. So, it was a great opportunity to learn from some of the best developers as our partners, but also to lean on the great teams we had within the company itself. So I was in Vancouver with the properties group until 2013. And I was transferred down to run our Ledcor's US operation. And I did that from 2013 to 2018 when I decided it was time to come back to Canada. So I relocated back to Vancouver and just recently back to Calgary.
So tell me a little about some of the projects you were involved with in Calgary through Ledcor that some people might know.
Sure. Well, the two biggest ones are the Bow downtown. We were part of the ownership group of that early on, and then Ledcor Construction ultimately built it. And then the other project is the River, which was a 38-unit condo project on the Elbow River, which to this day I would stack up against any project in Calgary as one of the nicest buildings and nicest designs that has been done. So very proud of those two projects.
So what lured you back to Calgary and specifically into this new role with Alliston?
Well, a couple of things. My wife is from a small town south of Calgary in Moss Lee, and both of our families still live in Calgary. And it was time to come back home a little bit more. We still have a place in Vancouver that we were going to go back and forth with, but this opportunity came up with Alliston about 6 months ago, where I started working with them. And they were an interesting company. They had some great attributes. They, very sound staff, very seasoned home building individuals, but they were lacking just a little bit of long-term vision and leadership because of some of the incidents in the past. So that was presented to me, in February, and said, it's a huge challenge. Do you want to do it? And I, for me, I'd done a lot of different things with a lot of different companies, and I quite like the entrepreneurial side of building a company from scratch, as we did with Ledcor Properties. And with that, I said, well, why not? Let's give it a go. And so we're here. Not all the kids came back. We've kind of kids scattered all over now, but we've changed our home base to Calgary, and part of that as well is just my confidence in the Calgary marketplace.
So what excites you about being a home builder right now in Calgary?
I think because it's not easy. You know, we had a huge run up of sales early in the year. Trades are scarce, supply chains are challenged. So it's not for the faint of heart, but for those that actually can get stuck in and really work hard at trying to create, the kind of process that's required to get these homes built efficiently. There's huge benefit for that. So I think that those challenges are what interests me about being in this industry.
Now, when you look at, I guess the future, let's look beyond today in Calgary. What's your thoughts about the future of Calgary and where we're going economically?
Well, I wish I had a crystal ball. It would be a lot more accurate. But I think one thing that distinguishes Calgary from a lot of other places is its positivity. There are other locations where, when things get challenging, people just put their hands up. Calgary is very different. Calgary is, when things get challenging, they say, okay, well, how can we do it better? So even 2009 when it was rough, 2014 when it tanked, I would come back and there was this energy that flowed through everybody, even though the market was not very strong at all, and lots of challenges and people didn't know what to do. It was almost secondary to the fact that opportunity lies within.
Yeah.
So how do we take advantage of the market as it currently sits to then position ourselves for the future? And that's something that you don't see everywhere.
Now, when you think about the brand of what Alliston stands for, what do you hope people think about when they hear the name Alliston?
Two things: connections, community. What we do, is we build homes, we build buildings, we design them, we create them. But ultimately, at the heart, we want people to understand that we are designing it for connections and community. That's the central focus. So how can we make your communities better, your lives better, your health better? Whether it's using sustainable materials, moving towards net zero, some of the more energy efficient systems. We may not be in a position as an industry right now to say how people want to jump in and actually pay the extra money to do it, because perhaps it's not efficient yet. However, we'll put things into the homes that provide for future opportunity to integrate them into the homes. So if someone's buying it today, they don't have to relocate to another home 3 years from now because the energy consciousness has changed and they can't put solar on the roof. We'll look towards putting the right things in place in the home today so that our customers can keep those homes for many, many years and not have to do that much to them to upgrade them to a higher net zero program.
I guess as a home builder, is that becoming more and more important? Sort of issues surrounding sort of sustainability, I guess, is that?
I think the opportunity to provide the sustainability is very important. The challenge really comes down to ensuring that our buyers find value in it, because not everyone's going to find value in sustainability. So they may just want a home at whatever cost that it's going to be, and they don't want to look at that. But I'm finding that more and more individuals are starting to want that flexibility in the future.
Okay, super then. Anything else you wanted to add, Chris, before we sign off?
No, you know what? I think at Alliston, it's a new company, but it's based on very, very old traditional prairie principles. We do what we say, we keep our promises, and ultimately we stand behind the product we provide.
All right, super then. Well, thanks very much, Chris, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Mario.
All right, super. That was Chris Bourassa, President and CEO, new President and CEO of Alliston, based in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Business Spotlight. Thanks for joining us today.